Pip was no ordinary bird. He was a bright, plump, anthropomorphic green bird with a very important mission. He carried 4 magnificent flags in his tiny backpack: the green and red of Bangladesh, the bright stripes of Togo, the red and white of Peru, and the starry blue of Honduras. Pip was waddling cheerfully across the globe to throw the ultimate worldwide friendship fiesta. Step right up, come to the party. I brought tasty snacks and awesome flags. But terrible trouble was brewing. A terribly grumpy walrus named Baron von Boring suddenly blocked his path. The Baron hated fun. He hated colors even more. He drove a giant, clunky, smoke-puffing machine called the Snooze-Dozer. "Stop right there, you ridiculous green chicken! Hand over those bright, obnoxious flags at once!" The Baron pressed a big gray button. His machine snorted and wheezed, blowing a thick cloud of gloomy gray dust everywhere. Pip sneezed loudly. Pip wiped the gloomy gray dust off his bright green beak. He looked at his beautiful flags from Bangladesh, Togo, Peru, and Honduras. They were way too fabulous to be ruined by a grumpy walrus. The Baron pointed a long, loud vacuum nozzle right at Pip's little backpack. "I will suck up all your silly colors right now. The world must be entirely dull and quiet." Pip did not panic. He realized the Baron was just horribly grumpy because he had 0 friends. So Pip did something wonderfully mischievous. He grabbed the 4 flags and leaped high into the air with a mighty flap of his wings. Instead of flying away, Pip swooped right over the Baron's wrinkly head. He draped the vibrant flags of Peru and Honduras over the Baron's giant tusks. Then he tied the flags of Bangladesh and Togo firmly around the walrus's belly like a giant colorful diaper. The Baron flailed his heavy flippers in utter shock. "What is the meaning of this absolute foolishness? Unhand my majestic blubber immediately." The Baron tried his best to look angry, but the fabric of the flags was extremely soft and surprisingly ticklish against his skin. The colors began to glow, and something totally bonkers happened. A tiny, silly snort escaped the Baron's snout, then a little chuckle. Finally, he let out a massive, belly-jiggling, ground-shaking laugh. The terrible Snooze-Dozer beeped wildly and exploded into a massive cloud of colorful party confetti. "Oh my goodness, I look utterly ridiculous, but I feel wonderfully and incredibly joyful." Pip safely landed right on the walrus's wet nose and gave him a gentle high five with his wing. "See? A little bright color never hurt anyone." Now, who wants to go to the ultimate friendship party? The Baron honked happily in agreement. Together, a little green bird and the giggling walrus marched off into the sunset, proudly waving the flags of Bangladesh, Togo, Peru, and Honduras. They completely proved that even the grumpiest grumps just need a little splash of color and a really good friend. True friendship can bring bright, happy colors to even the grumpiest of hearts. Pip ruffled his soft green feathers and adjusted his bow tie. Today was the best day ever. He was marrying Lily, the most amazing bright emerald green bird in the whole forest. Lily fluttered down, her long eyelashes batting happily. The venue looked spectacular. Pip and Lily had friends everywhere, so the branches were decorated with colorful banners. There were waving flags from Honduras, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Togo, Peru, and Finland. "Wow, Pip, the decorations are perfect," Lily chirped, doing a joyful spin in the air. "Only the best for us," Pip replied, puffing his chest out. But just as the music started, a gigantic gust of wind swept through the trees. Whoosh! The sudden breeze shook the branches and made all the beautiful flags flap out of control. Pip gasped as the wind blew right toward the cushion holding their wedding rings. Oh no! The strong wind knocked the ring cushion right off its branch. The golden rings bounced into the air, falling quickly. At the same time, the tall flags of Togo, Peru, and Finland got completely tangled in the vines. "The rings are falling," Pip squawked, diving down like a green rocket. "I will save the flags," Lily called out, her bright emerald wings slicing smoothly through the wind. Pip tucked his wings and swooped faster than a falcon. He zoomed past the waving flag of Bangladesh, reached out his talons, and snatched the rings right before they hit a muddy puddle. Whew! Meanwhile, Lily used her swift flying skills. She grabbed the tangled ropes of the Myanmar and Honduras flags, doing a fabulous mid-air flip to untie them perfectly. "Nice catch, Pip," Lily cheered, securing the last banner. "Great flying, Lily. We make an awesome team," Pip grinned, holding the rings safely. With the rings safe and the flags flying perfectly in the gentle breeze, the wedding continued. All the forest guests cheered as Pip and Lily landed softly on the altar branch. The ceremony was beautiful. The sun shined warmly over the flags of Honduras, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Togo, Peru, and Finland. "I promise to always be your best flying partner," Pip declared proudly as he gave Lily her tiny golden ring. "And I promise to always share my shiny seeds with you," Lily giggled, her bright emerald feathers glowing with happiness as she gave Pip his ring. The crowd erupted into happy chirps and joyful whistles. Pip and Lily took to the sky together, doing synchronized loops. They were not just newly married birds, they were the greatest team in the forest. The sky celebrated their wonderful friendship and exciting new adventure. When you work together with your best friend, you can overcome any sudden storm and make every celebration perfectly joyful. In the middle of a wide, open green field, a magnificent sight waited patiently. 200 Bangladesh flags rested on tall, shiny silver poles. They had no faces and no bodies, just beautiful green fabric with bright red circles right in the center. The flags loved to flutter whenever the breeze visited. Today was a very special day. They were planning a grand, colorful parade to reach the golden sunburst emblem that stood at the far end of the field. Suddenly, a gentle morning breeze swept across the grass. The fabric rippled and rustled, sounding almost like cheerful whispers. "We are ready to march," rustled the fabric of the tallest flag, flapping joyfully. "Let the grand parade begin," swished the others in perfect harmony. The 200 Bangladesh flags began to tilt and sway, catching the wind as it carried them forward in a beautiful flowing wave of green and red. The parade looked absolutely spectacular. The 200 Bangladesh flags moved together like a bright, rippling river across the open green field. They dipped and soared, making wonderful snapping sounds as they went. But halfway to their destination, something unexpected happened. The playful morning breeze completely disappeared. The warm air grew perfectly still. Without the wind, the heavy fabric of the flags began to drop. One by one, they stopped dancing and hung straight down against their tall silver poles. "Oh no, the wind is gone," whispered a small flag, barely moving its corner. "How will we reach the golden sunburst emblem now?" asked another flag sadly. The open green field was quiet. The 200 Bangladesh flags could not march without a gust of wind. They realized that if they could not rely on the wind, they would have to rely on each other. Friendship was their only hope. A clever idea rippled through the group. The tallest flag began to wiggle its silver pole from side to side. It was hard work, but the green and red fabric managed to make a tiny flap. Seeing this brave effort, the flag next to it began to wiggle too. Then 10 flags joined in, then 50, and soon all 200 Bangladesh flags were shaking their poles together. "Keep going, everyone! We can make our own breeze!" cheered the tallest flag. "Together we are unstoppable!" rustled the entire group in a happy chorus. By moving in perfect rhythm, they created a powerful, magnificent gust of wind. The strong breeze lifted their beautiful fabric high into the air. The grand, colorful parade surged forward once more. They danced across the rest of the open green field, finally surrounding the shining golden sunburst emblem. It was the most wonderful celebration of friendship the field had ever seen. Even when things stand completely still, working together with your friends can create a mighty force that keeps you moving forward. Meet Leo. She was not your average farmyard bird. While the rest of the flock had plain white feathers, Leo was a magnificent leopard-patterned chicken. She had bright golden feathers covered in bold black spots. Every morning, she leaped out of the curious wooden coop with a loud cluck, ready for a new adventure. But the other hens just stared at her. "Why do you look like a wild jungle cat? You do not blend in with the flock at all." Leo ruffled her spotted feathers and puffed out her chest. She knew her spots were awesome. "I will show you that being different is a superpower." She marched into the sunny farmyard with her head held high. She needed a daring quest to prove she belonged. A true farmyard hero never waits for trouble to find them. She scanned the horizon, tapping her yellow claws on the dirt. The day was young, and Leo was ready for action. Suddenly, a frantic squawk echoed across the sunny farmyard. Little Pip, the smallest chick, had wandered too far. He was trapped behind the old rusty tractor, right where Barnaby the grumpy barn cat was taking his morning prowl. The white hens fluttered around the curious wooden coop in total panic. They were too scared to sneak past the huge cat. "Oh no, poor Pip is stuck. Someone has to help him before Barnaby wakes up." Leo did not hesitate. This was her moment. She zoomed across the grass like a tiny golden race car. Because of her amazing golden feathers with black spots, Leo perfectly matched the shadows and sunbeams under the tall sunflowers. She crept closer and closer without making a single sound. Barnaby flicked his tail, completely unaware of the sneaky leopard-patterned chicken inching past his whiskers. Leo reached the shaking little chick and nudged him gently with her beak. "Do not worry, Pip. Follow my tail and stay low." With a sudden burst of energy, Leo squawked loudly and kicked a pebble straight at a metal bucket. Clang! The grumpy cat jumped up in surprise and chased the rolling bucket. Meanwhile, Leo guided Pip safely back to the sunny farmyard. The entire flock cheered as they emerged from the tall grass. The oldest hen stepped forward and bowed her head. "You saved him. Your spots make you the bravest chicken in the farmyard. We are so glad you are part of our flock." Leo beamed with pride. She realized she did not need to look like everyone else to be a true friend. Her unique leopard pattern made her exactly who she was meant to be. From that day on, the leopard-patterned chicken led the flock on amazing adventures. True friends love you for exactly who you are, especially when you use your unique gifts to help others. Pip was a fluffy green chick who lived in a beautiful rural Bangladeshi village. His home was filled with tall bamboo trees and warm sunshine. Pip was very proud of his special golden feather that grew right on top of his head. It sparkled whenever he walked around the dirt paths. One windy afternoon, a sudden breeze swept through the village. The wind was so strong that it lifted Pip off his little feet. Suddenly, his beautiful golden feather popped right out and flew away. It drifted far over the village paths and landed right in the middle of a flooded green paddy field. Pip stood at the edge of the water, looking very worried. He tried to dip his tiny yellow toes in the water, but it was much too deep for a little chick. He needed his golden feather back, but he did not know how to cross the big wet field. The flooded green paddy field looked like a giant lake to little Pip. He paced back and forth on the muddy bank, chirping softly. Just then, a large and gentle water buffalo named Babu walked out from the tall grass. Babu had big, kind eyes and loved helping his friends. He saw the fluffy green chick looking sad and splashed over to him. "Hello, little Pip. Why are you looking so worried today?" "My special golden feather blew away. It is out there in the flooded field, and my legs are too short to swim." Babu smiled warmly and lowered his big head to the ground. "Climb onto my back, little friend. I will help you cross the deep water safely." Pip felt so happy and relieved. He hopped right onto the soft, warm spot between Babu's strong shoulders. Babu, the water buffalo, waded slowly into the flooded green paddy field. The cool water splashed against his strong legs, but Pip stayed completely dry and safe up high. They searched through the bright green rice plants together. Suddenly, Pip spotted a shiny gleam resting on a large floating lotus leaf. "Look over there, Babu! I see it shining in the sun." Babu carefully walked toward the pink lotus flower. Pip stretched out his little green wing and grabbed his lost golden feather. He placed it carefully back on top of his head, feeling incredibly joyful. "Thank you so much for your help, my great friend." "You are very welcome, Pip. Friends always help each other cross deep waters." They returned to the rural Bangladeshi village together, happy and proud. Pip never lost his golden feather again, and he always remembered the kindness of his wonderful friend. True friends will always gladly help you cross the deepest waters to find what you have lost. In a beautiful, sunny village in Bangladesh, surrounded by tall bamboo houses, lived a very special chick named Pip. Pip was not yellow like the other chicks. He was a fluffy, 100% bright emerald green chick. He looked just like a little walking leaf, and he loved his amazing color. Every morning, Pip waddled around the lush green grass, saying hello to everyone he met. His village was full of wonderful, different animals, and they all loved playing together. One bright day, Pip woke up with a fantastic idea. "I want to find the sweetest, juiciest mango in the whole village to share with my friends." Pip flapped his tiny emerald green wings and started his brave journey. He hopped past the colorful boats by the river and marched right into the thick tropical mango groves. He was so small, but his heart was very big. As Pip explored the winding dirt paths, he bumped into his good friend, Mina the spotted calf. She was happily munching on some sweet river grass by the water. "Hello, Pip. Where are you going in such a hurry today?" "I am looking for the sweetest mango in the world to share with everyone. Do you want to help me search?" "I would absolutely love to help. 2 pairs of eyes are always better than 1. Together, the bright emerald green chick and the beautiful spotted calf walked under the giant green leaves. They looked high up at the very tall branches of the old trees. The warm sun peeked through the leaves, making Pip's bright green feathers glow like a tiny, shiny jewel. Suddenly, they heard a loud, happy rustling noise up above them. A friendly purple monkey was swinging from the highest branches of a big tree. "I can help too. Follow me, my friends. I see something super delicious just over that hill." The 3 friends hurried over the small grassy hill. Right there, in the middle of a peaceful clearing, was a magical sight. A giant, golden, ripe, fallen mango was resting perfectly on the soft grass. It smelled like warm sunshine and sweet honey. "We found it! The sweetest mango ever!" Pip hopped right up to the delicious fruit. He started pecking at the mango with his little beak to open it up for everyone. tap, tap, tap. The sweet juice was incredibly tasty. Soon all the animals from the bamboo houses heard the happy sounds and came to join the feast. There were bluebirds, orange cats, and even pink frogs. They all sat together on the grass, sharing the yummy fruit. Pip smiled widely. Being a fluffy, emerald-green chick was wonderful, but sharing a sweet treat with friends of all different colors was the best feeling in the entire world. The sweetest things in life are the ones we share with our wonderful friends. Once upon a time, in a colorful neighborhood in Dhaka, lived a cheerful Bangladeshi boy named Tanveer. Tanveer had a cozy bedroom filled with posters of heroes. Right in the middle of his room was his favorite thing, his video game console. Tanveer loved to sit on his soft rug and play Xbox all day long. He held his glowing Xbox controller tightly as he raced digital cars and explored magical pixel worlds. His thumbs moved fast, pressing buttons to win. Next to his television was an open window showing a beautiful, sunny street outside. The breeze gently blew his curtains, but Tanveer rarely looked outside. He was too busy trying to beat his high scores on his screen. He thought everything he needed for a great adventure was right there in his hands. One bright afternoon, right when Tanveer was about to win a big race, something unexpected happened. The television made a popping sound, and the screen went completely black. The power had gone out. The lights in his cozy bedroom flickered off, and his glowing Xbox controller stopped glowing. Tanveer sat quietly for a moment. When the electricity did not come back, he put down his controller and walked over to the open window. Down below, the sunny street was full of life and joy. He watched neighborhood kids running around, laughing loudly, and playing a fun game with a bright red ball. They were dodging and jumping. Tanveer realized that their game looked exactly like the action games he played. The real world looked incredibly warm and inviting. He decided to put on his shoes and walk downstairs to see. As soon as Tanveer stepped onto the sunny street, the kids waved at him happily. They invited him to join their giant game of tag. Tanveer ran as fast as he could, feeling the warm wind rushing past his face. It felt amazing. He discovered that jumping over little puddles and dodging his new friends was just as thrilling as any video game level. He laughed until his tummy hurt. The neighborhood was filled with brilliant colors, cheerful sounds, and the wonderful feeling of friendship. Later, the streetlights blinked on, meaning the power was back in his cozy bedroom. But Tanveer did not rush inside to grab his glowing Xbox controller. He stayed outside to finish the game, realizing that sharing a real adventure with friends was the greatest high score ever. Now he loved his video games, but he loved outdoor playtime just as much. True adventures and great friendships are often waiting right outside your door, ready to be discovered. In a crooked living room smelling of sweet cardamom and toasted pixels lived a very fat Bangladeshi husband named Babu. Babu was as round as a giant happy rasgulla. Beside him lived his very thin Bangladeshi wife named Reena, who was as light as a dancing cinnamon stick. Babu had a strange glowing Xbox controller stuck to his hands. He pressed the colorful buttons all day long, and he pressed them all night long, too. The glowing Xbox controller beeped, lighting up his round tummy with flashes of green. Rena floated over like a quiet breeze, carrying a tray of bouncy tea. Ogo Shuno, listen to me. You must put down the beeping box. Babu did not look up. His eyes were spinning like little tops. I cannot, Rena. I am busy collecting invisible mangoes. You play 24 hours a day. You must do other things, like combing the ceiling or feeding the clock. Alarm clock. Babu mashed a big yellow button on the glowing Xbox controller. A loud quack echoed through the living room, causing digital ducks to fly right out of the television. You do not even know what the shiny box is telling you. We only speak Bengali, and the box speaks English. The box does not need English. It speaks the language of fast thumbs. Rena sighed a very wispy sigh. She tapped her chin, wondering how to unstick her husband from his endless game. She decided that if Babu would not leave the game must leave Babu. Rena dashed to the kitchen and grabbed a shiny silver spoon. She stood in front of the television and began to juggle tiny golden samosas. Look at me! This is a much better game. Catch the flying snacks. Babu's thumbs slowed down. The glowing Xbox controller stopped beeping for just 1 second. That looks like a tasty game, my dear. Babu tried to grab a flying samosa with his free hand, but he was too slow. It bounced off his nose with a soft squeak. Rena laughed, a sound like ringing silver bells. You need both hands for this game, Babu. Put the glowing Xbox controller down. We can play together. Babu looked at his glowing Xbox controller. Then he looked at his wonderful, very thin Bangladeshi wife, who was now balancing a teacup on her nose. He carefully placed the buzzing, blinking controller on the rug. The digital ducks cheered from the ceiling. Babu wobbled to his feet, feeling as light like a magic balloon. He joined Rena in the middle of the living room, trying to juggle the treats. They giggled in Bengali, catching samosas until the sun came up. Babu discovered that playing silly games with his best friend was much more magical than any screen. Real adventures and shared laughter with those we love are the most magical games of all. High above the winding rivers of Bangladesh, the night sky was soft and deep. In this velvet dark lived 14 twinkling stars. They were not just any stars. They were all different colors, and they all had bright eyes and happy smiles. Ratan was a bold red star, and he was the leader. Wake up, my glowing friends. It is time to shine, called Ratan, stretching his red rays. One by one, the other colorful stars popped open their eyes. There was Omi, the orange star, Yasin, the yellow star, and Ghazi, the green star. Babul shone blue, Pori twinkled purple, and Pana glowed a pretty pink. Next came Wali, the white star, Kazi, the black star, and Ghalib, the gray star. Bapi, the brown star, yawned, while Mita, the magenta star, Chayan, the cyan star, and Kamal, the cream yellow star, joined the circle. What shall we do tonight, Ratan? Asked Yasin, shimmering brightly. Let us fly across the beautiful sky together, said Ratan. We will make a rainbow in the night. The stars held their pointy hands and zipped through the dark, starry sky. Down below, they could see the dark trees of the Sunderbans and the little fishing boats resting on the calm water. They flew so fast they left a glowing celestial trail of 14 different colors. "Look at the shiny water," whispered Babul the blue star, looking at his own reflection. "It looks just like us," giggled Pori the purple star. As they swooped over a quiet village, Kazi the black star and Ghalib the gray star felt a little shy. Their light was soft and shadowy. But Kamal, the cream yellow star, squeezed their hands tight. "Every color is special," said Kamal gently. "We need your shadows to make our bright colors look even brighter." The colorful friends danced in a huge circle, spinning faster and faster. Mita the magenta star and Chayan the cyan star did a little joyful flip. They loved painting the night sky with their magical glow. Finally, the stars reached the very middle of the huge sky over Bangladesh. The night was quiet, and the world below was sleepy. "Now, let us make our special shape," announced Ratan, his red light glowing with pride. The stars moved carefully into their places. Ratan and Kamal stood in the center. Ghazi, Babul, and Yasin formed the wide petals. Soon, all 14 friends were linked together to look like a giant, glowing water lily. Down in the village, sleepy children looked out of their windows. They pointed at the magnificent, colorful flower shining in the dark. They loved the wonderful sight. "We did it!" cheered Pana the pink star, her eyes sparkling with absolute joy. "Together, we are the most beautiful light of all," whispered Ratan. And there they twinkled, the beautiful friends, keeping the sky warm and colorful until the morning sun came to say hello. When we share our unique colors and work together, we can light up the entire world with beauty. In the bright, breezy fields of Bangladesh, where the rivers hummed a quiet tune, lived a very special little bird named Pushari. Pushari was a green mini rooster chick. She had lovely long eyelashes, a neat little comb on her head, and a magnificent swooping rooster tail. But if you looked very closely, you would see she had no waddle at all. Pushari loved to hop through the tall paddy grass. One sunny morning, she heard a soft, magical humming sound. Floating right above a green lily pad was a tiny, glowing orb. It was perfectly round, with 2 bright eyes and a very cheerful mouth. "Hello there, little green chick. I am Pushari. Who are you?" "I am a wishing orb. I travel all over the lush lands of Bangladesh looking for wonderful wishes to grant. Do you have a wish today?" Pushari fluttered her long eyelashes and thought. She wiggled her grand rooster tail side to side. She did have a wish, a very special one indeed. Pushari and the glowing orb strolled side by side along the edge of a sparkling blue river. The air smelled sweet, just like ripe mangoes in the summer sun. "If I could wish for anything, I would wish for a cozy spot where all my friends could play together. A cozy spot for friends. That is a beautiful wish. The mini orb buzzed with joy, spinning around Pushari's green feathers. They walked until they found a giant banyan tree with thick, winding roots. It looked like the perfect place for a playground. But as they stepped under the wide canopy of leaves, Pushari sighed a little sigh. The shadows were very deep, and it was much too dark for a cheerful gathering. Oh dear, my friends might be afraid of the dark. Do not worry, Pushari. That is where a wishing orb comes in handy. The little orb took a deep breath, puffed out its glowing cheeks, and shone as bright as a golden star. Suddenly, the shadows under the banyan tree vanished. The roots looked like a magical maze, bathed in a warm, gentle light. It was the most perfect playground in all of Bangladesh. Wow, it is beautiful! Thank you, little orb. Before long, ducks from the river and frogs from the paddy fields came hopping over to join the fun. They played hide-and-seek among the giant roots while the orb floated happily above them, keeping the shadows away. Pushari proudly swooshed her magnificent rooster tail and smiled her biggest smile. She realized that having a wonderful place to play was great, but having a glowing friend who listened to her heart was the best magic of all. The greatest magic comes from sharing our hopes with a kind friend who helps light the way. In a little restaurant on a quiet street lived a very angry Italian chef named Gino. Oh, how he frowned and stomped his heavy boots. If a noodle was too long or a tomato was too round, Chef Gino would throw a terrible fit. Crash went the cooking pots, smash went the little plates. Soft white flour flew up into the air like snowy clouds, and silly noodles hung from the ceiling lamps. Mamma mia, che disastro! Pomodori cattivi! Chef Gino yelled at the tiny carrots and shouted at the cheese. He made such a loud, angry rumble that the town police had to come running. 2 tall police officers stepped into the messy kitchen and shook their heads sadly. They looked at the broken bowls and the squashed green peas. The tallest officer pointed a long finger and gave Chef Gino a very, very long lecture about keeping things neat and being kind to vegetables. Non è giusto! Chef Gino crossed his arms with a huff, but he had to go with the police. The wrecked kitchen was left quiet, covered in a dusty blanket of flour and sorrow. With the angry chef gone, the little restaurant needed a lot of helpful hands. Soon, a cheerful team of builders and friendly cleaners arrived with big brooms and shiny paintbrushes. Sweep, sweep, sweep went the bristles across the sticky floor. Scrub, scrub, scrub went the bubbly sponges on the greasy stove. They carefully picked up the broken plates and gently wiped the sad, messy walls. They painted the whole kitchen a lovely sunny yellow. They hung up shiny new pots that clinked like little bells in the soft breeze. The builders brought in smooth wooden tables and sparkling silver spoons. They worked from the bright morning until the cozy evening, turning the wrecked kitchen into a warm and happy place. When they finally put their heavy tools away, the room smelled like fresh lemon soap and clean wood. The restaurant was perfectly ready for a brand new start. It just needed someone wonderful to cook in it. The next morning, the door opened softly. In walked a new female chef from Bangladesh named Reena. She had a very, very calm smile and a gentle way of moving. Chef Reena looked at the sunny yellow walls and the shiny silver pots. She softly clapped her hands together with pure joy. Khub bhalo, amar noton ranagar. She did not shout, and she did not stomp. She simply chopped her fresh vegetables with a quiet, rhythmic tap, tap, tap. Sweet spices danced in the air, smelling like warm cinnamon and cozy cardamom. When the soup started boiling a little too fast, she just smiled and gently turned down the heat. Shanti, shobti gache. The builders and cleaners peeked through the little kitchen window and smiled brightly. The kitchen was safe, full of wonderful smells and gentle songs. The restaurant was a happy place at last, where good food was made with the softest of hearts. A calm and gentle heart turns any space into a happy and beautiful place to share with friends. The golden morning sun peeked over the green hills, warming the quiet barnyard. A special bird named Midnight woke up in the soft hay. Midnight was a rooster, but he did not look like the others. He had shiny feathers as black as the night sky. He had no bumpy red comb on his head. Instead, he had a fluffy, bright white tuft of feathers that looked like a little cloud. Midnight hopped out of the warm barn. He blinked his shiny eyes and tilted his head. He often wondered why he was so different from the rest of the flock. "Today is a good day to find out," he spoke to himself gently. The farm was fast asleep, so Midnight decided to go on a peaceful morning walk. He strutted across the dirt path to explore. The air was fresh, and the world felt big and wonderful. Midnight walked past an old wooden wagon and stood by a small puddle of water. The water was smooth and clear like a mirror. He stretched his neck and looked down at his reflection. He stared at his smooth black feathers. They shimmered beautifully in the early light. Then he looked at the bright white tuft on top of his head. It stood out so much. For a moment, Midnight felt a little sad. He was the only one in the whole barnyard who looked exactly like this. "Maybe I am too different," he whispered to the quiet wind. He worried that because he looked different, he could not be a good friend. He ruffled his dark feathers and let out a soft sigh. He wanted to crow to wake up the farm, but he kept his beak closed tight. Would the farm want a song from him? Just then, the warm morning sun rose higher into the bright blue sky. A glowing beam of light shined right onto Midnight. The golden light caught his white tuft, making it shine brightly. It looked just like a beautiful, snowy crown. Midnight saw his bright reflection in the puddle again. He realized something wonderful. His black feathers and white crest did not make him weird. They made him completely unique. He did not need to look exactly like the flock to be a kind rooster and a great friend. "I love my beautiful white crown." He puffed out his chest, stood as tall as he could, and let out a joyful, loud crow. The happy sound echoed across the barnyard. The sun was shining, and Midnight felt proud. He was ready to greet the day and share a wonderful morning with his farm friends. Being wonderfully unique makes you special, and sharing your true self is the best way to be a great friend. "Hello, little bird," said the Bangladeshi. The tropical forest was filled with warm sunlight and huge leaves. Walking through a clearing, she spotted something amazing. It was not just any bird. The bird was completely emerald green. He had a proud crest on top of his head, a bouncy rooster tail, a sharp white beak, and shiny black legs. He loved living on the ground, hopping happily among the flowers. The bird looked up at the kind young woman. He chirped a cheerful greeting, fluffing his green feathers. "You are the most unique bird I have ever seen." "Chirp, chirp, trill," answered the bird. Even though they did not speak the same language, they understood a warm smile. The Bangladeshi sat on the moss to be closer to her friend. Every creature in the forest was different, and that made the world beautiful. "Do you want to play a game?" asked the Bangladeshi. The bird hopped excitedly from one black leg to the other. He could not fly high, but he was the best ground dancer in the forest. He strutted around the giant tropical flowers. He bobbed his head so his crest wiggled, and he shook his rooster tail back and forth. The Bangladeshi laughed out loud. She clapped her hands, feeling the happy rhythm. "I will show you my dance too." She stood up and twirled around, her clothes spinning like a flower in the breeze. They danced together in the sunlit clearing. Sometimes the bird would trip on a root, but the young woman was there to catch him. If she lost her balance, the bird would chirp loudly to cheer her up. They realized that playing together was much more fun than playing alone. They were building a wonderful friendship. After all that dancing, they were very hungry. High up in a tall tree, there were sweet, juicy berries. "Oh no, they are too high for me to reach," sighed the Bangladeshi. The bird chirped and pointed his white beak at the trunk. He knew a secret. Since he lived on the ground, he knew the hidden low branches. He hopped onto a thick root and pecked at a vine. The vine shook, and a bunch of berries tumbled down into her hands. "Thank you so much, my clever friend." They sat in the sunny clearing, sharing a snack. The green bird ate the seeds, and she ate the sweet fruit. They celebrated how perfectly they worked as a team. Differences are wonderful superpowers. From that day on, the Bangladeshi and the bird explored the forest together, showing everyone that friendship has no limits. True friendship celebrates our differences, turning them into wonderful superpowers when we share and work together.